So despite the odd important goal, I think everyone is in agreement that when it comes to playing from the right flank, Antony is completely cooked. But I think there is a solution, and it comes in the form of converting Antony to a left wing back in a back five system. My reasoning behind this? Well, there's a player in Europe playing this exact role for one of the best clubs in Europe this season, who's not only ripping it up, but has a very similar skill set to Antony. And that player is Federico Di Marco. Now at first it seems like a bizarre comparison, because if you've watched Inter Milan this season, you'll know that Di Marco has arguably been Inter Milan's biggest creative outlet in the attacking third, something that you certainly wouldn't associate with Antony. But when I show you a comparison of Di Marco's FBref report against Antony's, analysing some specific attributes, not only do I think you'll be surprised, but I think you'll see the point I'm making. But before I do that, let's analyse some of Di Marco's assists from the left side, and analyse how Antony could be a lot more effective from the left than the right. So in this example, we see Di Marco is carrying the ball forward into the opposition's half, and he has space ahead to motor into. Now if this is Antony on United's right, even if he did have this sort of space ahead, he always seems like he wants to slow up and come inside onto his left. He never really likes to just drive forward into the open space, likely because he knows that under pressure, he doesn't have the quality to pick out a pass or a cross on his right foot. Antony from the left, however, doesn't have to worry about this issue, and like Di Marco here, he can drive forward a lot more assertively, progressing the ball from the middle into the final third. But before I come on to Di Marco's end product, if you like me are a fan of retro jerseys, go over to Jersey FIFA. You can check out all their Manchester United jerseys through the 90s and 2000s, as well as from other club and international sides as well. If you use code Atlantis at checkout, you'll get a discount. A link will be in my Instagram bio, which I will leave linked in the description. So it's here as Di Marco approaches the corner of the box where we would see the real benefit of deploying Antony on the left. If Antony was in this sort of position on the right side, because he can't really whip in across with his right foot, he's always going to be looking to come inside onto his left, which just works to narrow down his crossing angle and makes him hugely reliant on having an overlapping player to either provide a run down the outside for him to then play a pass down the side, or to instead drag away the fullback to give him that space to come inside onto his left, which even if he is able to do, doesn't really give Antony too many options apart from trying his trademark hurling shot into the far corner. However, on the left side, just as Di Marco does here, Antony's decision making is a lot simpler. Rather than having to think about how he can create or progress the ball when he comes in field, he can simply look to either drive down the outside of the fullback, or as Di Marco does here, simply get the ball out of his feet and put a curling cross towards the far post. And we can also see how Antony's decision making would be simplified playing from the left in this example, but from a slightly different crossing angle. Di Marco this time is able to provide an underlapping run into the space created as Benfica's right back is dragged out wide with Mkhitaryan's run. Di Marco is able to receive the ball inside of the box, goal side of the opposition player tracking him. Now in this sort of position on the right side with Antony, the Brazilian probably doesn't even take advantage of his goal side position, and likely ends up halting his run to try to get back inside on his left, which would then allow the tracking player to get back goal side. However, on the left side, just as Di Marco does here, Antony can simply drive towards the space inside of the box, and whereas in the previous example it was a low cross from a deeper position around the corner of the box, Di Marco shows a variation in his crossing ability by this time playing a low cross across the box from closer to the byline, creating the goal for Lautaro Martinez once again. Now there are two specific attributes that I think make Di Marco so good, and I think if Antony can incorporate both into his game, he could excel in a left wing back position. But before I come on to those specific attributes, let's look at the metrics in Di Marco's FBref report that I was talking about at the beginning. So what do you expect from a high flying wing back? A high amount of ball progressions and take-ons, right? Well, as you can see here, ranking in the 12th percentile for his successful take-ons, and just the 8th percentile for the percentage of those take-ons he completes, as well as being around the 55th to 70th percentile range for his progressive carries, carries into the final third and penalty area. It's no surprise that Antony has been struggling. Only this isn't Antony's FBref report from the past 365 days, it's actually Di Marco's, and it's compared against fullbacks rather than wingers. Antony's FBref report doesn't actually look too dissimilar, and this is when compared against wingers and attacking midfielders. So why is Di Marco so effective despite not looking all that impressive for metrics that you would deem essential for a wingback? Well, it's because he's not required to do the same thing as a winger. When a winger receives possession, they are usually in a high position, immediately confronted by the opposing fullback, putting them in a situation where they have to beat the fullback in a 1v1. However, starting from a deeper position when DeMarco receives the ball is usually on the transition, and when the opposition's wide midfielder is caught high up the pitch, and the space is there for him to motor into. And most of the time, what makes DeMarco so effective is he's running off the ball, which can't really be quantified statistically. And so like DeMarco for Inter Milan, playing Antony at left wing back for United would take the burden off him to beat players in 1v1s, which isn't one of Antony's strong points, with his lack of acceleration and disguise in his dribbling being the main reasons for this. But DeMarco does excel statistically when he has possession in the final third. First of all, he ranks incredibly highly for the volume of crosses he puts into the box, sitting in the 97th percentile, as well as recording a high amount of switches of play alongside that. In the final third, DeMarco is without doubt one of the best fullbacks or wingbacks around, ranking in the top 1% over the past 365 days for his crosses into the box and his XG assisted, whilst also sitting in the 98th percentile for his passes into the penalty area as well. And so you can see when it comes to progressing the ball into the box, particularly into high value chance creating positions, DeMarco is as good as any wingback around, having a variety of different crosses in his locker, be it lofted curling crosses looking to create aerial chances for Thuram or Lautaro Martinez, floated crosses from closer to the byline, or low driven crosses across the box from any position on the flank. In short, DeMarco is an absolute dream for strikers who have the movement inside of the box to get away from markers and attack the space, as well as having the finishing ability to put away those chances when it comes their way, which Thuram and Lautaro Martinez certainly have, and Rasmus Højlund has as well. But before I come on to how Antony could be used tactically in that left wing back position, if you do want some exclusive content such as my analysis of Kiernan Dewsbury Hall and Archie Gray, you can go over to my Patreon, it will be linked in the description. And if you just want to watch a few videos and try it and see if you like it, you can get a 7-day free trial. So from a tactical point of view, under a manager like either Nagelsmann or Inzaghi, who would use a back three system, I think using Antony as a left wing back could also offer United added avenues of ball progression. Now whilst Antony does struggle when it comes to taking on defenders in 1v1s, he is pretty good when it comes to carrying the ball forward into space, as seen with his FB ref report. And so in the build up phase, if United are struggling to play out of their defensive third through the centre of the press, they can look to take advantage of the opposition's narrow pressing shape by utilising lofted passes over the opposition's right-sided midfielder, from inside the box from Andre Onana into Antony in a wide position on the touchline, who should have space on the flank to get the ball under control before driving the ball out of the defensive third. In the middle third, a similar thing can be done, as United drop into a 3-2-4-1 possession shape for example, and Antony holding a wide position that is deep enough to where the fullback can't push out quickly to close him down. United can look to once again use lofted passes over the opposition's right-sided midfielder into Antony, who, like from the defensive to the middle third, can then drive the ball from the middle to the final third. And when in the final third, I think Antony is a much greater creative threat when he's providing overlapping runs down the left-sided channel, wherefrom he can receive the ball and either fizz a left-footed cross into the space between the opposition's goalkeeper and defensive line, or get to the byline where he can then look for a cutback or a lofted cross towards the back post. And so overall, with United having allowed Alvaro Fernandez to leave and not having an out-and-out left wing-back, I think the experiment of utilising Antony as a left wing-back in a back five, just as Inzaghi has used DeMarco, could potentially save his United career, and give United a left wing-back that would allow them to use a back five system when necessary, rather than having to go out and spend £50 to £60 million on a wing-back like DeMarco or Theo Hernandez. So thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that video, check out some of my others. I will leave them linked in the description and the comment section below.